Let's just hope we don't make them snore, right, guys?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Punch and Roll, where your favorite audiobook narrators come together to play your favorite role-playing games in a celebration of the power of human storytelling. We are produced by PANA, the Professional Audiobook Narrators Association. PANA provides support for new and established audiobook narrators while raising awareness in the public consciousness of the importance of human narrators in storytelling. Learn more about them at pronarrators.org. We are now 2 sessions in to our 4-part miniseries, Beneath the Library. The adventure took an unexpected turn, as we may not be clear about who the real villains are in this story. So to catch everyone up on the action thus far, Lauren, please let us know what has happened previously on Punch and Roll Beneath the Library.
Well, this is Miss Greer's letter to her supervisor. Upon the journey of finding the missing books, the crew has come across a kobold school. The professor was not information forward. Luckily, a troubled student was willing to help, after some encouragement with some candied grubs. After dealing with a language barrier, we came to the conclusion that the stolen books are considered treasure for the Great One. The kobold led us deeper into the dungeon, and we came across a gory scene. Mechanical monsters went on a rampage in the kobold dorms. Some were obsessed with disarming me, taking my scimitar and my shield at points, but they weren't successful in the end, with the help of the students. Who is this Great One? Will these kobolds trust us enough to show us the way? What does this Great One want with the books? I feel like that was a very Cliff Notes version.
Oh, that was awesome. Previously on a cliffhanger. I love it. I love it. And I love the epistolary theme that we're getting going to with
I feel like I had to keep it going.
No, it's fantastic. And I love I guess it's epistolary, not epistolary. An epistolary theme would be something we probably shouldn't put on a family-friendly stream. And I just realized I made a joke about streams that I probably shouldn't have done. Okay, I need to stop talking.
See what you did there, Max.
Tip your waitress, folks. Hey.
All right. Well, those of you watching live in chat, when you have ideas about the story other than the one I just suggested, speak up and I will get them incorporated as I can. So with that said, players, please step out of the chat and let us begin tonight's episode of Punch and Roll. All right, so we last left with you stepping into the kobold dorm. As a reminder, you are in what looks like long disused, essentially auditorium space. Big stone risers that go up perhaps 10, 12 rows into the back. A simple stage. There's actually a stone lectern sitting up there. And on stage there is a campfire with some small, probably rodent-looking animal cooking away, and there's a big mixture of kobolds of all ages, from the ones sort of toddlers barely able to stand, to the elderly hunched over with a cane, and all of them sort of clutching whatever weapons they can get, fearful of these mechanical monstrosities breaking through. And there's this beat as they see you. What do you want to do?
Now remind me, did you say they were... Can we get a read on... how they may feel about us being in here? Did we leave with that last time? It was...
yeah, sure. Make an insight check.
All right. And let's make sure I remember. Great, awesome. It's an 8.
Okay, so
no.
I mean, yeah, reading kobold body language, not your fort, but there is that moment where they sort of raise those weapons up, seeing non-kobolds come in, but you are with the kobold fighters and the student who is escorting you, so there's this beat and one of the kobolds that you're with go, "No, it's okay. They fought the metal things. They saved our lives." And then everyone calms down. At which point, sort of a matronly-looking kobold comes and grabs the student that has been accompanying you sort of by the ear and pulls them away, going, "Where did you get detention again? What did I tell you about putting bombs in the classroom? The classroom is not the place for bombs." And just pulls them away, lecturing them. So unfortunately, your kobold companion has been pulled off to the side and is no longer with you. But you do have an auditorium full of kobolds setting down their weapons and looking about, trying to figure out who you are.
All right. If nobody else has any desire to try to come out and do something, I think El Torin will go ahead and step forward. And he will roll up the sleeves on his robe, which I said has very like high neck and long arms, long sleeves. But he'll roll them up, and as he rolls them up, you see that his arms, once they get above the wrist, actually have a blue scale on them. There's sort of a dragon scale on his arms. He'll roll that up, and there's a shining blue arm on his arms, and he'll hold them up and say...
And as you do that, just from unrolling them, the kobolds nearby just all lean in and go, "Ooh."
Cal is like, "Whoa."
And so it'll say, "We mean you no harm. We come because we heard of the Great One and the treasures that have been taken from above. And we wish to meet with the Great One and talk about the treasures and perhaps learn what troubles him and perhaps to help him. Any help that we can get in finding the Great One safely will be much appreciated."
You are here for Great One? You come to help us and Great One?
We come to recover the treasures from above, but I feel that we can also help you and the Great One. The treasures from above must be returned, as has been in the past.
Yes, treasures, and there's an older kobold who's stepping forward, sort of hunched over a little bit, using, it actually looks like a bit of a broken apart armrest from a stone chair, but he's using it as a cane. And he sort of creeps up, a little hunch in his back, and he goes,
Yes. Treasure always was returned, now is not, but this is not for us to say, this is for Great One to say.
Such is why we wish to speak with the Great One and see if we can return to the old ways, the ways as it once was, the ways that it should always be.
Yes, old ways are good.
Good times.
You wish to see Great One?
Or, yes, we wish to try to see the Great One. Perhaps there is some problem we can help him with that will then get the treasures to be returned.
We hear the Great One is unwell.
It is, and at that, everybody starts to get a little unsettled by that. And actually, everyone is welcome to make an insight check off of that.
Okay.
Which comment? Mine or
Yours, the not well.
That's a nat one.
I got a 20. I pulled a 16.
El Torin is just totally focused on his own. He's not reading the audience at all.
Yeah, Calden and Ulfgar, absolutely on your...
Ooh.
Oh, and Misker, all of you
Nat
except
20.
El
Wow,
Torin.
21.
Yeah,
That's a nat 20.
it's like the Great One being unwell is not just an uncomfortable subject, it's an awkward one. You know, like when you're a kid and your parents are fighting, that like feeling of like, oh, I don't even want to be talking about this and being here, right? It's that really just uneasy sort of awkwardness that you're picking up from their body language.
Okay.
And he's like, yes. The last year, the Great One has been very touchy. His glory, of course, is always as strong as ever it is. Very, very glorious, but upset about something. Clearly, let us bring you to the. And his sentence sort of cuts out at that point. It is overwhelmed by a cry from the far back of the auditorium. You hear some yelps of fear and terror as you see the very upper wall, sort of along the back of the auditorium. There are metallic spears poking through and bursting apart the aged stone as a hole is beginning to be opened up, and mechanical forms are out of the hole, and a wave of kobolds begins to run away, and one comes through, two comes through, three comes through, other holes open up. A wave of these things begin to pour out, and a wave of kobolds begin to run. A kobold at the very back of the stage throws open a double door and is waving for everyone to run, and everyone is running. But there is now wave after wave of these little mechanical monsters coming out, and everyone's screaming and running. We are going to... I should have... tripping over myself as I try to say. We all know when we're narrators and we try to say two words at once and none of them come out. That's what just happened to me. So let me do a pickup here. Let me jump back and punch in with, as wave and wave of these things come out, it begins to dawn on you that this may be too many to handle.
Hopeless.
There are at least 10 through already, and you can see more coming. There is clearly a bottleneck at this double door of kobolds trying to come out. What are you going to do?
All right. So the kobolds are getting away from them. We can at least try to slow them down, probably.
I agree.
All right, then we are going to run this as a skill challenge. What that means, for those who don't know, is instead of treating this like combat, you're going to be using your skills, your tools. You can use spells and weapons. You can use anything that is on that character sheet that you can think of to help slow the robots down or speed the kobolds up in their escape, or anything you can do to help the kobolds get to safety. You will need to get 8 successful checks before you get 3 failures in order to succeed at this. The DC is not particularly high, but every time a skill is repeated, the DC will go higher. So, for example, if Ulfric uses athletics to grab a robot and hurl it to the side, Ulfric would go on the original DC, but if then Miscria tries to use athletics to force open a stuck door for kobolds to run through, the DC would go higher. Does that make sense? So everybody please give me an initiative check to find out what order you're going to be going in.
All right.
It's an 11 for Miscria.
Okay.
A 9 for Eltorin.
9 for Eltorin.
5 for Calden.
Okay.
13 for Ulfgar.
13 for Ulfgar. So, Ulfgar, you're going to be going first. Miscria will be second. Eltorin third. And Calden fourth. So, Ulfgar, you are sort of first to respond. What are you going to do?
Okay, so the kobolds are trying to run away, and these things are just starting to flood in.
Yeah.
I want to try to figure out, I understand that these robots are probably pouring in and they're going to start fighting, but do they look like they're taking over a base? I want to try to figure out their plan, get some insight on what they're trying to do, help direct my people.
Sure, make an insight check.
A 15.
That is a success. So you, the ones with the spears were the ones breaking the holes open. It is only the grabby ones that are pouring through the wall, and you notice that they seem to be grabbing almost the first things that they come across. You see a couple grab a bedroll and a pillow. Somebody else grabs some cooking utensils. The only time that the kobolds seem to be attacked is if they get too close, and then they're trying to grab things off the kobolds or grab the kobolds themselves. They seem to be a little mindlessly collecting whatever's in front of them.
Okay.
So with that information, what would you shout out to help them along?
They're not coming straight at us yet. We need to keep everyone back. Don't let anyone get close to them.
All right. So hearing that, some of the kobolds who were standing up, getting ready to fight, sort of look back and hear you and respond and start to run. So your successful insight of their tactics helped save a couple kobolds from getting into harm's way. Miscria, what would you like to do?
Am I able to build on that? Like create, stand on top of something, usher them, hey, this is the way we have to go. You need to leave now. Like use performance.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sure. You can use performance or persuasion for that, whatever you prefer.
Ooh, I'm going to use persuasion.
Shucks.
That is a 15.
15. That is a success. So you hop up on that stone lectern, and in your very I'm a town guard. I've dealt with riots before. In your very crowd control voice, bellow out and are aiming everyone and trying to get everyone to move as quickly as possible. And there's something about just the aura of authority that almost glitters around the paladin, just compelling the kobolds to listen and orderly squeeze through that door. And more of them are getting out through that door, bringing us now to Eltorin.
All right. Eltorin will step up and raise his crystal and make a circling motion with his hand and push his hand out and try to cast Gust to try to push some of the robots back to sort of tumble them back into each other and keep them back.
Okay.
With Arcana.
Yeah, let's make this an Arcana check to see how successful that is, to see how much power you can get behind that Gust.
Not great. 9.
9 is a failure. So you line up and you get that spell going, but you perhaps are underestimating the mass of these things. They are made of metal. They're heavier than you're anticipating, and so a big cloud of dust gets pushed up and it actually slows some of the kobolds down. They're wiping the dust out of their eyes. They're fighting through the gust. It seems to have made matters worse instead of better. And I would like you, Eltorin, to roll a d4 for me, please. Tell you what, a d4 and a d6. Give me 2 rolls.
All right.
This is going to affect both who something happens to and what happens.
It's the hoop and the harm, the fail and the harm here.
All right, I got
know.
a 6 on the d6 and a 2 on the 1d4.
Oh, okay. So, Eltorin, you are so focused on casting this spell that you don't notice that one of those things has come up to you. And you fail to notice until it is too late that one of these things has reached its grabbing hands into your quiver of crossbow bolts, grabbed all of your crossbow bolts, and has taken off with them. So please, at least for now, remove your crossbow bolts from your inventory.
All right.
And
Wonderful.
that brings us to Calden.
All right, I have a plan. Hopefully I can use the right skill to pull this off. So far we've used performance.
So far we've used persuasion and insight and arcana.
Shoot. Okay. Then
You
I'd like
always
to-
can double up. It'll just be a little tougher.
Okay. Well, Okay, so Calvin is going to figure out. Hopefully, let's see how I would like to play this. I have in my bag let's see here, a bag of 1,000 ball bearings.
Okay.
Okay, and so I want to figure out a way. I think maybe I'll use investigation to figure out where would be the most effective place to scatter them, with the hopes that the grabbers will take extra time picking some of them up.
I
Before
buy
they
that.
reach us.
I buy that. Using using your intelligence to try to predict their movements and get the ball bearings down in advance of them. Absolutely.
Vampire rules. They got to pick it up before they can come get us.
Absolutely. Now, I'll tell you what, because you've got, I think you have 1,000 ball bearings, right?
I've got 1,000. Yeah.
You can use half of them at a regular roll, or if you use all of them, I'll let you roll at advantage.
Let's, for now, go with half.
Okay. So 500 ball bearings going down on the ground. Make that insight check to see how
Let's see,
successfully
I
you
can-
place them.
Not
I
insight.
can
It
edit
was
that a little.
Oh, sorry, not insight, investigation. Thank you.
Investigation. Okay, thank you. All
Yeah.
right, and it is a 9.
A 9. So you are
Should've
just
gone
about to
advanced.
do the when about his crossbow bolts distracts you, and the ball bearings go wide and actually land amongst the kobolds, and a number of them go down, and in an instant a bunch of the robots are upon them, and you actually you hear some of them getting poked by those grabbing arms as they resist the things being taken from them. Unfortunately, that has gone badly. That's 2 failures now, so there's actually a significant amount of kobolds tripped over each other with those ball bearings. You need to please, as before, roll a d4 and a d6.
The D6. Let's see here.
The chat, by the way, is very excited that you use your ball bearings. Ball bearings, they're saying ball bearings are underused in D&D, and I couldn't agree more.
Really thought that was going to work. That would have been great.
yeah,
The
should just
D6
used
is
them all.
A
I
6
should
is a
use them
1,
all.
and what about the d4?
And the D4 will be a 3.
3. The 3 puts us to Miscria, and the 1, Miscria, perhaps it was you clambering up on that lectern that made yourself a target. Several of these things are climbing up to get you, and you're able to kick and knock a couple of them away, but not before one of them grabs. I think you have a horn in your inventory, right?
Yes.
Yes, you don't anymore. It has one of those grabbing hands has actually ripped open your pack, grabbed that horn, and has scuttled off with it. So please remove that horn from your inventory.
Horn is
2
gone.
fails down and only 2 successes, so things are going badly here in your attempt to save the kobolds.
Yes.
We go back around to Ulfgar.
All right. With some of these things getting, some of the kobolds being attacked, I imagine they're slower to try to get away. What about casting Healing Word or Cure Wounds to see if I can get them, the slowest ones, moving a bit?
Sure, absolutely. Are you proficient in medicine?
Medicine, no, but I'm decent at medicine.
Okay, but I because this is casting a spell and you're a spellcaster, I want to let you use your proficiency anyway. So make a medicine check and just add 2 to the roll. Basically, you're trying to discern who is the most seriously injured, who needs this spell the most.
It's 12.
A 12 is what you needed.
Okay.
That is the low DC that you guys need to
There
get
we
to.
got there.
So you see, in fact, it's the old guy with that stone cane. One of those robots tried to grab the cane. He fought back. He's got you see, actually, he's probably an injury to one of the tendons in his leg. He can barely move. You magically fix that, and he gets back into the throng of kobolds heading through the door. You are now 3 successes up and 2 fails in. You're going to have to go 5 for 5 in the next checks. And so I did the math on this when I was setting this up, and I figured you guys had about a 75% chance of victory. But those odds have plummeted lately. Miss Kriya, you are up next.
All right, I'm gonna take out my blanket again, and I kind of want to wave it around all elaborately. I don't know if these robots have eyes, but can I try intimidation and maybe like encapsule one of them with the blanket?
Ooh, sure, I'll let you. You can either do intimidation or performance to see how successfully you captivate their attention.
Okay, we'll do performance.
Okay.
And that is a 17.
All right, there is your 4th success. So, like a bullfighter with a cape, less ethically upsetting because these robots were the ones who started it. You with the cape just they see it and they're like, oh, we have to get the cape, and a whole bunch of them now are attracted to this cape and keep trying to grab it with their grabby hands, which keep whipping it away. The bad news is you've sort of got now, as you stand up on the lectern, a whole big crowd of them around you as you twirl this cloth cape around. But the good news is they're paying attention to you and not the kobolds, so more can get away. And about half the kobolds now have gotten out of the auditorium. That brings us to Eltorin.
All right, Eltorin will use prestidigitation, and he's going to create like a big shower of sparks coming from over the area where the kobolds are running from. And so hopefully trying to fake the robots into thinking that there's some like actual danger, like hot sparks that might damage them and make them hesitate and hold off a little bit. I'm going to try deception.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Oh, there we go. That's better. 24.
Ooh, 24. There we go. Yes. In fact, a number of robots had come along the side of the stage, sort of trying to cut the kobolds off at the pass. And that spark of showers come up, and they all instinctively stop. Mechanical creatures understanding that sparks mean bad, and they scuttle back a little bit, and you see their little eyes focusing and refocusing and focusing and refocusing, trying to assess the source of the danger. That crowd has been paused, buying more kobolds time to get out. You've gotten 2 in a row. You need 3 in a row now to make it. Now that I've said that, have I jinxed you? I don't know. Let's find out as Calden attempts a skill.
Okay, I want to play to my strengths here, and I want to make sure I know what we've used. We've used persuasion, performance.
Mm-hmm.
What's the penalty for reuse?
The penalty for reuse is an extra 2, so it will go from 12 to 14.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to play that game. Although I've got a +7, which is pretty good. The odds are in our favor, but
7 is really good. That's way better than most people's skills.
yeah, I think it might be worth a crack. Sorry if this doesn't work. Okay, so instead, Cal realizes that the ball bearing situation is not going to play out. So he falls back a little bit, and now he wants to use his persuasion on the kobolds who are fleeing to, rather than everybody cram through the door at once, to instead form a more orderly exit, maybe 2 by 2 or something, so that more people can get out without everybody pushing each other around.
Okay.
Does our DM buy it?
Well, I mean, trying to get a bunch of panicky kobolds to form an orderly queue sounds like a high bar, but let's see whether you're successful.
It is, in fact, high, and the drum roll, it is a 20.
Oh, okay. So, despite it seeming like a big ask, a bunch of the kobolds are, well, that makes sense. Particularly the kobolds on the far end of the door realize that they shouldn't just stand there now that they've escaped. They need to continue to make room. And so with a little bit of crowd control, you get things moving. And you are two successful checks away from saving the kobolds. This brings us back around to the top with Ulfgar.
Oh, the pressure's on.
Some feat of strength or something we can pull out here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start throwing furniture, rocks, anything that I've got back near me to try to get in between kind of the farthest back kobolds and the robots, knowing that they're just kind of grabbing the first thing they come to. I just want
right.
more stuff for them to grab.
So this sounds like athletics with grabbing and hurling things as far as you can go.
All right, come on. That's a 19.
Oh!
Oh my
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
+1 skill. Oh my gosh.
The debris in this former dwarven auditorium, perfectly sized for your dwarven physique. The hands on the chairs, everything is just meant for you. It's actually exquisite engineering, which you destroy as you hurtle it through space. But it does enable you to throw a lot of debris in the way of the robots, and as predicted, they swarm it, pull it apart, and start moving it back out. At this point, almost all of the kobolds have made it out, but there's still a significant number around Miscria, and we are down to the last check. You get this one, Miscria, you'll have hit the 8th success, and you will defeat this attempted mob by the robot. But if you fail, then the effort fails, and the robots
Right.
will succeed.
Cal would like to
Jeez.
yell out,
No
"Miss
pressure.
Creo, we just need a little more time. We're almost there."
All right.
pressure.
Well, considering they're surrounding me, I feel like I gotta do an athletic jump and kind of launch myself in the opposite direction of where the kobolds are running out. So like further distracting them, but also putting some distance between me and them.
Okay, and this is about the distance you can get, so this is an athletics check, which has
Yes.
done before, so the DC
Oh,
is
we
going to
have
be...
done that before?
It just
just did one.
happened.
Oh,
so
shoot,
the DC
okay.
is going to be 14.
Oh, geez.
Succeed or fail.
Okay.
Did we do acrobatics? I think that was the first one.
No one did acrobatics.
No one's done acrobatics.
Would it not be in acrobatics?
No, this is about jumping distance. Jumping is
and
jumping
I
is
have
about your
a
strength.
higher bonus on
is-
athletics than acrobatics.
Ah,
Deep breath and roll.
just going for it.
Nat 20! 24! Oh my gosh!
All right, Lauren. I got to hand this over to you with your nat 20. Somehow, this leap was sufficient not only to give time for the kobolds and the rest of your party to clear, but also somehow got the robots to consider their job done and leave. What just happened?
All right, so took a deep breath, crouched down, did a nice little jump, twist, layout, stuck the landing,
Hands up.
full gymnastic style landing.
Robots, 10, 10, 10.
All right, yeah. You
scores.
leap out, twisting, just perfect, like superhero 3-point landing, ka-doom, right on the ground, and several of the robots just hold up their pincers, showing 10 little grabbers, and nod each other. Oh yeah, that was a 10.
Time to go.
Yeah, and all of the ones that were around you just watched and tracked you as you ran, so that the kobolds and the rest of your party had time to get out that door. And someone, probably one of the kobolds, slammed those doors, leaving you, Miscria, on the other side. And there's this moment where you're like, what? But your leap took you so far away that between you and the remaining robots, there is enough spare debris that they collected, enough dropped soup ladles and pillows and whatnot. They're able to fill their grabbers with that. One of them gets almost up to you and then sees an interesting little rock on the ground. It just picks that up, and they scuttle away out the holes that were blasted in the far wall, leaving you untouched. And you guys have succeeded at keeping the mass of kobolds safe from this wave of robots. There's a moment of quiet, and the door opens, and the kobolds peek in, and just start screaming cheers, elated at because they thought this was it. Just elated at what you were able to do for them. They come swarming out, a whole bunch of them, Miss Greer, especially the ones who saw you jump, surround you and try to pick you up on their shoulders. They're tiny, and you presumably you've got like the heavy metal armor, and it's just a little hard for them to get you up, but they're doing their best.
Yay!
And one of them, an elderly female kobold comes up, and she grabbed what is presumably one of her prized possessions. It's this small little velvet box, and she comes up to you guys and she says,
This is my most precious possession. This was given to me by my mother, who got it from her mother, who got it from her mother. I was sure that it was going to be taken, and in my shame, I grabbed it instead of my grandchild, who surely would have been injured or worse were it not for you. I should not have this. You should have this. Please. And opens it up. And it is a collection of really fine cutlery. In sort of a dwarvish style, clearly recovered from somewhere down in the dwarven city. It is silver. Most of it is bent, like some of the spoons have been bent around, and some of the fork tines have been pulled apart. But there are two. There is a steak knife, basically, and one fork that has retained a really sharp point over the edges, and they both count, the knife and the fork, can each act as a +1 dagger. So you have functionally a pair of +1 daggers that are a fork and knife, but will act as a pair of +1 daggers for whoever wishes them.
Hey, Miss Greer, dinner at your place when we get out of here. Some nice silverware.
Probably
That'd be
pretty
an
handy for
upgrade
the
from this.
rogue.
Oh, I
Yeah.
dare not put myself forward.
If you can make use of them.
Especially to have two of them, and then you can
Daggers
do
are not
They're yours to give.
my
You can hang on
style.
to them, or you can maybe throw them, or I can take them.
Calden, you have proven yourself to be a person of this crew rather than just a hooligan.
That's the sweetest
Wow.
thing I think you've ever said
So
to me.
since you
Wow,
asked,
that is you've proven yourself to be a person on this crew.
Miss Greer, I think I know what you're trying to say, and I appreciate it.
go ahead and have the 2 daggers.
Thank you.
The chat is pointing out that a rogue backstabbing someone with a fork is pretty fantastic, but I don't think we can get a better backstab than the one Miss Greer just delivered.
That was definitely the most expert backhanded compliment. Okay, DM. So, what? Now that I have these, what do I need to? Should I equip them? Do I have a bonus? What is the?
Yes, yeah. Feel free
What
to
can that
add
set mean?
two +1 daggers to the inventory in your character sheet. You can open it up, and there's a little button on your thing that says Manage Inventory,
Okay.
and you can add them there.
Add items, I see.
As that is being figured out, again, the kobolds are mobbing you, and they're shouting, "Hey, heroes, saviors, wonderful! Yes, you will be able to help the Great One wonderfully!" There seems to be sort of a general push towards having sort of a little bit of a celebratory feast to celebrate the success. The stage is being cleared. Those cooking animals are sort of being cut up, and says, "Please, please celebrate. Yes, we wish to celebrate you. You are wonderful." and they start. Actually, one of them takes that blanket you were waving around and actually tries to forcibly tuck it into your armor as like a really oversized napkin, and they are encouraging you to sit down and share with them a little bit of a celebratory meal. Which, if you wish to do that, you could sit for an hour and have a little nosh and get a short rest.
That sounds very pleasant.
That's great.
It's not what I usually eat, but seeing the circumstances, who can say no?
Yeah, and they are clearly foregoing food themselves in order to feed you. They really want to sort of give you a place of honor here in this feast. Is there anything that you want to do in that hour? Anything you want to chat with them about, or anything you want to do yourselves in this hour of rest?
I think Eltorin would like to speak with that old kobold a little bit more about the way things used to be with the treasures, and ask more about where they take them and what else they might have done with them. Like learn more about what used to happen, and then figure out what seems like it might have changed.
Oh, sure. Yeah. As you ask him about that, he says, "Oh, well, it always was the case that we would bring the Great One treasure, and the Great One would be delighted, and for some reason would give us treasure to bring back. And then a year ago, something much like what happened today happened. A great swarm of these came." But came in his lair and swarmed all over him. And ever since then, he has not been the same. The treasure just piles up, and he is. We have learned not to ask him about it. My brother asked him rather pointedly whether he still wanted that treasure even, and then he got eaten. So we've learned not to ask why he doesn't seem to want to give the treasure back anymore. But it was something happened with those metal things.
So, and since then, the metal creatures have been harassing your people?
Yes. Yes, sometimes a few of them, and we are able to drive them away, sometimes more. But it is always they take things.
And they seem to be increasing in number. They must be somewhere, something must be constructing them.
Perhaps they are too strong for us. We have not chased after them. We sometimes can hold when we can get them in a tight place and they cannot overwhelm us. But we have not gone looking. No, it's too scary for us.
Do they come from somewhere else besides? Do they come from some particular area or direction, or do they just come from near where the Great One is?
The Great One tells us they come from below, but where
Even
below
further.
we do not know.
Thank you.
During this hour, Cal would like to see if there's anybody selling anything among the kobolds. Is there a merchant?
Oh, anybody selling anything? Make an insight check, and
Insight
make it with advantage, given that you've become heroes of this little tribe.
The insight check for Cal will be a 13.
Yeah, you're sort of looking around, and there's one who's like, you wish to purchase things?
Yeah, we have a long journey ahead. I'm curious, what are you selling?
Oh, I can sell you many beautiful things. Look.
And he opens up the little vest he's carrying, and there's a lot of there's colorful pieces of string, and there's a tiny little watch fob with no watch on it. There is a broken cameo with half of a woman's face. There is at first you think it's a diamond earring, but it's clearly just glass. The little piece of children's costume jewelry.
Is very pretty, yes.
Yes, Keldon is wearing a sort of neutral mask. Yes, these are all right. How much
Yes,
for
they are.
how much for that one there? He's pointing at the empty watch thing,
Oh,
The little fob chain?
the fob chain.
for this,
He pauses, clearly having never actually gotten anyone interested before.
3 pieces of gold.
3 pieces of gold.
Yes.
And how much for the let's see, what was the other? How much for the earring?
That is very expensive. Is beautiful. 4 pieces of gold.
4 pieces of gold. Okay. I'll tell you what. For both,
Yes.
I'll pay you 5.
Starts to try to add on one hand, doesn't have enough fingers. He's like, oh, 4. And then I add 3, and that leaves me with 1. That doesn't make sense. But if I take 1 away from 4, then I have 2.
Yes,
Wait,
no, that's right. There, that one. That's right. You got it.
2 pieces of gold.
All right, Cal would like to go ahead and buy some trinkets, some souvenirs for his crew.
all right, you've bought a costume jewelry earring and
Yes.
a watch fob.
And a watch fob, which is empty, I'll add.
Yes, no watch
you know.
attached, just a chain.
Oh, one more thing.
Yes.
How much for the string? Could we maybe just throw that one in?
You gave me.
Make a persuasion roll.
Persuasion roll. All right, the persuasion will be a 13.
You did give me good deal before. Tell you what. For 1 more gold, you can have the string.
My friend, I have something better. I'd like to produce, coyly, slyly, a single candied grub. And how about this?
Saliva begins to drip down his mouth.
It's worth a little bit of string.
Make a persuasion roll with advantage.
The persuasion with advantage will be a 12.
He starts reaching out, looking around.
I get this grub. Many will want the grub. Many will try to take it from me. Grub. Oh. Grub might be too much action for me to handle.
Very well, friend. You know what? You're right. We're friends here. I'll pay the gold piece. So instead, I'll pay our initial bargain.
Sure.
Losing 3 gold pieces for some string, an empty watch fob, and a glass theater earring.
I think we've discovered why Calden's bookstore went out of business.
I can't resist presents for my friends.
Calden, could you please make a stealth check for me?
Yes. Cal's stealth check is a 4.
You made a big show of that grub. And as the merchant begins to move away, there is this throng of kobold children that have just gathered around you like a pack of feral cats, just staring at that hand that had the grub in it. And it is right on the edge of whether they're going to be waiting patiently for you to bring out the gubs or whether they're just going to mob you.
Cal would like to hold up and say, okay. Take out the knife that I just got from Miss Kriya and cut a little off, give it to you, cut a little off, give it to you, cut a little off, give it to you. Measure out pieces of the grub for the children.
Okay, now they are definitely going to be grabbing anytime that comes near. So I'd like you to make an acrobatics check to see if you can successfully keep this grub away as you cut away pieces.
I got it. Oh, well, you know what? I can. It's an 18.
Oh, yes. Super skillfully. Just, like
What?
something, like something from out of the Jurassic Park movies when the kids are dangling and the raptors are below them and jumping up and they seem to always manage to pull their legs out of the way right at the right moment. It's like that, but with a candied grub. And you distribute this candied grub among the passel of kobold children who are now sort of all off in their corners, nomming away on their grubs.
Back away from that. And I'd like to if we have time, well, does anybody else want to do anything before I monopolize our rest?
I guess once he's done talking with the old kobold, Eltorn may spend some time using prestidigitation to entertain the small kobolds, making little fireworks, little.
Make a performance check.
All right. Not so great. 9.
Yeah, it's tough to compete with grubs, man.
Yeah.
It really is. I tell you, I've done a fair amount of children's theater back in the day, and when you don't have the kids, you don't have the kids. And there's something else going on they care more about. I mean, there's a couple, but most of them, no, most of them are all about the grubs. Miskria, Ulfgar, is there anything that you guys want to do in this break?
Ulfgar is going to enjoy the food. I understand that they are foregoing food so that we can eat, so I feel like I should make a good show of really enjoying it.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
have a low charisma.
So whether this is persuasion or deception, based on your attitude about this, go ahead and make the appropriate roll.
Yeah, let's see. It's a 4.
Yeah,
I want to get things out of the way now.
it's one of those things where, like, when there's a culture difference, you think you're trying to be complimentary, but actually you're insulting. And, a couple of the kobolds like, well, if you're not going to appreciate it, fine. And, you did not increase your reputation among the kobolds, sorry to say.
That happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel okay. Since everybody's eyes are on me, because I did, captivate the attention of the robots.
Yeah.
I feel like I should do a little performance of like tossing food up in the air and catching it with my mouth, and maybe like tossing it to some of the kobolds around me.
Yeah, go
Performance?
for it. Give me a performance check. Although, yeah, I was going to make you do a dexterity performance, but we can do a straight up performance check.
I think that's 15 total of the dice went like right in the center. Okay, 18.
Yeah.
Huzzah. Nice.
Yeah, just
still got
super
it.
captivating. You're able to just like chuck little pieces across the room for people to expertly catch in their mouths. Yeah, you're putting it in, and when you're done, all the kobolds just sort of give you a clap, like that. Says, she really is remarkable. Yeah, she is remarkable. And so dinner goes on like this, and you complete your short rest. Anyone who wishes to roll a hit dice to replace some hit points is more than welcome to do so. I think this is a reasonable place for us to take a short rest as well. So those of us narrators who've been sitting in the booth all day and need to escape, get a breath of fresh air, drink some water, grab a bite of a sandwich, whatever we've got coming, we will take a short break. But you in the chat don't go anywhere, because we are going to be hanging out with Jeremy Fraser. Wait, no, we're hanging out with Ray Greenlee. I lied. We hung out with Jeremy Fraser the first time. We're going to be hanging out with Ray Greenlee to talk about, basically anything y'all want to talk about.
I'm going to go haunt the chat.
All right, so Ray,
Hello,
and
Max.
anybody in the chat who's got some questions for Ray, fire them out. But Ray, I know you are a longtime role-playing gamer. For those who don't know, Ray actually Dungeon Masters a private game among us PANA members, in which I'm fortunate enough to play in. So I wanted to ask you just sort of which came first for you, role-playing games or audiobooks?
Oh, role-playing games by far. I've been playing role-playing games since the 80s, back with my friends from across the street and my brother. And we didn't, it was like a classic start. We're just, around 10 years old, teenagers and early teenagers, and didn't necessarily get the rules all right or really understand exactly how everything was supposed to work.
Yeah.
But we just sort of like put together characters and play with it. And especially my one friend was really good at running games and They never lasted very long, but we had a good time with it. And then in high school, I picked it back up again with second edition, and we played in a couple games in high school, and then sort of got away and played other games. I've been playing all sorts of games pretty much my whole life, board games, video games, role-playing games. And then when 4th edition came out and they started doing the podcasts, I started listening to some of those. I was like, oh, that's so much fun. I should get back into it. And so I got some 4th edition stuff and played a few, tried to play a few 4th edition games. And then those, as most D&D campaigns go, they stopped when people couldn't schedule anymore.
Yeah.
And then sort of picked back up again several years later with 5th edition, and when some of the online tools got a little stronger, and have been playing 5th edition with some fair regularity for the last several years. And so when the opportunity came up that Pana was going to do a D&D groups, I was like, I want to be in on that, because the narrator community is awesome, and the idea to be able to get to play games with fellow narrators was great. I knew when I checked, I could probably GM, that was probably gonna be GMing, because
That's the way it goes.
it's just a little bit of volunteer, and it's like, you're in. But it's been really great. I've been enjoying the game that we've been in, trying to make that one fun. Although we do have to get a session in. It says one thing about
It's been a
having
while.
a bunch of a bunch of narrators, or schedules can be fairly flexible, because we're usually at home in the booth all day, so we can do like a morning session. That's great, but when you're crunched with a book, you got to work on your book, and it's like, no, sorry, I can't play today because I got a deadline. But we'll get back to it.
Yeah, and you've been very very generous about doing that for understandable reasons. Rachel is asking in the chat, what is the favorite character that you've ever role played?
That's hard, because for one thing, most of the campaigns I do, like I've never been part of a campaign that really lasted a long time, right? They've always kind of gone like several sessions, and then like someone had to drop out, so all right, let's start something else. Or it's like they finished like a short campaign. It's like, all right, let's do something else. So I've never really gotten attached to any one specific character, and I'm always interested in trying something different the next time I play, because I like to. And some people, and it's perfectly fine, probably like a very specific style of play. Like, oh, I really like being the melee fighter, and I don't want to have to worry about spells or stuff like that. I like to try like all the different ones. So I've been playing a whole bunch of different types of characters and different classes, which I enjoy. But then, of course, that means that I've never really gotten that attached to any specific one. I know there was one character that when I was first starting with a group of friends online, hopping into one of their campaigns, it was a I can't remember the name of the race. Was like sort of like a wolf race. It was a thunder cleric, and so I had a good time, like calling down lightning and using the abilities, like those cleric abilities, as like a wolf type of wolfman type character. That
Like
was
Wolf
pretty fun.
Thor. That sounds awesome.
It was pretty good.
So on the subject of the flexibility of audiobook scheduling, because we do work at home and we can sort of work whenever we want to work. But when you've got a family, often you can work whenever you want to work means you can also not work whenever you want to not work, and that can be a challenge, I think, for a lot of I think it's a challenge for anybody who works at home, but I know it's a challenge for a lot of narrators, how you can sort of have and create and protect your work time while also sort of engaging with your family responsibilities. Can you talk a little bit about how you make that work?
Sure. Yeah, it's quite a bit of a challenge for me, because working at home, and I actually have a pretty big family. I have 7 kids. The oldest is 16. We're working on driving with him. The youngest is 4. And so the younger ones are still at home during the day during the school year, and I can hear them running around upstairs sometimes in my booth, which can be very frustrating if I'm trying to get something done. What I do have is also my wife is a CPA, and she works from home as well, and so with her support, she will sort of make sure the kids are doing okay, while she gets her work done, so that I can spend time down in the booth recording. So yeah, that's pretty great. Especially, and a part of that is because we're trying to build up my narration so that hopefully she can step back, because we used, before we had kids and early when we had kids, we both worked. And then around the Great Recession in 2010, I got laid off, and we were having kids, and we sort of only never wanted to both have to work and put kids in daycare and stuff. So I kind of stopped working, and I did stay-at-home dad for a while. And then when I started wanting to do something else, I got into audiobooks as a great job to do at home, but sort of kept that part-time for a long time because my wife was making the money that was paying the mortgage. Now she wants to be able to, while some of the kids are still young, be able to pull back from her work, and hopefully my audiobook work can replace that. So she's giving me lots of extra time compared to when I got started and was doing part-time, to be down here and try to work as much as I can, and actually get a full-time amount of work done.
Oh, that is amazing. Emmy in the chat is saying, that we have one kid and a dog, and that's exhausting. So
I am tired a lot.
Yeah, to manage all that and to have a spouse, a spouse that is as supportive, and to be then as supportive of her as you are. That sounds. And so I think everybody in the chat is sort of agog at how impressive that is.
Yeah.
So you said you got into audiobooks as a sort of a stay-at-home job, but there's a lot of those. So what was it about audiobooks that attracted you?
Well, the first thing was then I got into local theater. That was back where my first son was around 1, so I guess it was about 15 years ago. That's kind of frightening to think about it in those terms. That's a long time. But I'd always kind of been interested in acting, and I never did anything with it for a long time besides one intro to acting class back in college, which one kind of interesting thing there, we were doing intro to acting things as a college course, and the professor, as we're in the class, a couple times said to me, and didn't say this to anybody else, said, "Hey, you can make money with your voice." I was like, "Really? Huh, I never ever thought about that." And I sort of asked him at the end of the class, how would I do that? And he just kind of brushed me off because he was busy. Oh, you do a demo or whatever. All right, whatever. I got a computer science degree. I'm here to program, and so I didn't worry about that. But the acting thing sort of stuck around. So when I saw a local theater send out a flyer with audition dates on, I was like, oh, you can actually go and audition for shows at theaters? I was like, I didn't know that's how that worked. I thought they had a private group that they picked from or whatever. So I went on auditioned, and I got cast in a play. And I did a couple plays a year for a number of years. I was like, this acting thing is a lot of fun. It's great. I also had started listening to audiobooks around that time, and really got into those and enjoyed that, and thought, you know what, it would be a lot of fun to do these. Also, me and my wife would read books to each other for years. We'd read out loud. So when I heard from some other friends about, hey, here's this company that you can go to and get voiceover training with, and here's this website that you can go to and audition for audiobooks. It's I went, and then I talked to my wife about it, and she said, yeah, you should probably have something that you you can do on the side. I went, we did several weeks of voiceover training, signed up on ACX, and started auditioning, and that's where it all started.
That's fantastic. So, so speaking of books, as the rest of the crew is settling back in their booths and closing booth doors or leaving doors open for the air conditioning, Lauren is coming to us from Texas, so it is amazing that Lauren has not dissolved into a puddle of sweat just during this 1 hour. But as that is all happening, Ray, is there a book you want to plug for us? You want to draw people's attention to?
Sure. The book I had for this week is called Legacy of Shadow. And what's interesting about it for me personally is that, so I'm a gamer. I talked about this before. I play games my whole life, including listening to gaming podcasts. And there was one gaming podcast that I listened to for a long time called the D6 Generation. And one of the hosts of that podcast, Craig Gallant, had talked about his own, trying to start his own writing career and having a book published. And that was an impetus for me listening to that to reach out to that publisher as a new audiobook narrator and say, hey, I'm narrating audiobooks. now, and I listen to this podcast, and I would love to narrate this guy's audiobook. And that started a relationship with the company Winged Tazar Publishing, and I've done several of their books now, and including Craig's book, which is a science fiction kind of an epic sci-fi. Starts off, with a couple of guys on Earth that end up going to this space city and having all sorts of adventures, including big space battles and all sorts of great, fun, epic sci-fi stuff that is the type of stuff that I would really enjoy working on, because that's the sort of stuff I like to read. And so it was just really cool to do this book that is the type of book that I like to do, connected to like this person that like I've had listened to their podcast, and then of course got to be able to interact with them more directly, being on their podcast as a part of having done the book. And so it really has a big personal connection for me, and I really enjoyed it. And hopefully you guys will check it out and enjoy it too.
Yeah, that sounds spectacular. Yeah, everybody go check that out. And the link is in the video description. So thank you, Ray, for sticking around and chatting. And let us transition. Let us bring everybody back as we wrap the meal with the kobolds up. So after you guys have spent the hour chatting and entertaining and losing money hand over fist for trinkets, a couple kobolds come up to you and say, "Yes, it's time to meet the Great One. Yes, you should come meet the Great One. Yes, it is time. Yes, come." And they start sort of tugging at you to get you to leave.
Torn does not need to be tugged. He is ready to go. He wants to meet the Great One too.
All right. I assume everybody is going along?
Yes.
All right. So they lead you out those double doors, down a little hallway, through just a hole in the wall that opens up into what looks like an old wine cellar, and then into what looks like a proper dining hall. Why you guys weren't dining in the proper dining hall is anybody's guess. But there's the long stone table. There's all these. There's a proper feast hall. Long stone tables and chairs. And
classic kobold move.
Yeah.
Swept up in the excitement.
And we've lost Miscria. Miscria's having some tech troubles. She should be back with us soon. But this room also seems to be having some tech troubles, as the whole side wall of this feast area seems to have caved away. Almost as if a sinkhole has opened up. There is just darkness beyond, and a mix of dirt and sand. They seem to be descending on a steep slope down into darkness. And they're sort of pushing you towards it, saying, "Yes, here, Great One is here."
Thank you for showing us the way. Will any of you be coming with us?
Oh, we would like to. We don't want to be eaten, though, and we are not going with treasure. So we think you should go. Okay, bye. And they give you a shove. And despite the fact that there are hooked into the wall above where this sinkhole has opened up, there are some hooks that have been hammered into that stone wall, perhaps to which can be attached rope lines. The kobolds, nevertheless, give you guys a shove, and you begin to slide down this sandy grade. And to give you a sense of it, those of you with dark vision can see that this is perhaps a 70-foot descent that goes laterally out about 40 feet, so it is pretty steep. And I'd like everyone to make a dexterity saving throw, just to see sort of how elegant your tumble down the sandy hill is.
Eltorn is not elegant at all. He stumbles and falls and tumbles and gets full of sand.
Ulfgar is much better with a 2.
Ooh.
This was a dex save.
Well,
Cal made an 11.
Eltorn
Again,
did
he's
get a
diving.
5. 5 for Oton, so I guess he's a little bit better than a.
Yeah, so Calden with the 11, you're able to, you sort of drop to your knees and skid along. It's not the most graceful, but you're able to get there. With the 8 that Miscria gets, Miscria, it's sort of like it's the vibe of a little kid running down a hill where you start going, but then you're just, you're a little out of control. And you do faceplant right at the end, which is better than Eltorin, who is doing the full-on, Eltorin and Ulfgar both are doing the full-on Princess Bride tumbling down the hill. It's just head over feet over head over feet over head over feet over head over feet. And at least Eltorin, you land more or less upright, right? I mean, I should say upright. You land on your seat, right? You know, just right on your sit bones. A little shock that runs up your spine. But that is better than how Ulfgar ended up. You look around to see if Ulfgar is okay, and you see his dwarven legs sticking out of the sandy pit at the bottom. He managed to head plant so successfully that he has just buried himself up to his waist in the sand.
As Cal slides back, can I try to pull Ulfgar out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is not hard to do. You just, and up and out he comes.
It was intentional.
That was a lot of fun. You undo it again.
And you take a moment, if you wish, to shake off the sand. Probably Eltorin doing that a little more aggressively than others.
Yes, clean up.
And you look around, and you seem to be at one end of a massive underground chamber with a sandy floor. That the dwarven structure seemed to have abutted right up against this what looks like a natural hollowed out space. It's the first space you've been in down here that hasn't seemed constructed, whether it was a water leak that opened up over time or whether it was an ancient cavern that has just always been here. Eventually there was just not, the weight of the stonework was not enough. That's why the wall collapsed. And you are at one end of this huge, I mean, even those of you with dark feet, although one of you, has 300 feet of dark vision, so maybe you can sort of see out towards the end. But for the rest of you, the ceiling curves high into darkness, and the cavern just extends out into the gloom. But about 30 feet away, a simple stone arch stands alone. Perhaps it is a monument, perhaps it is decorative, perhaps it's a surviving relic of something that was here even before the dwarves. It looks old. With your 300 feet of dark vision, you can see out in the distance mounds of what might be boulders or other sort of rock formations. Again, dark vision is dim, so it is tough to tell exactly. And you can all see that there is writing on the arch, but in this gloom you'd have to get closer to see what that writing actually says.
Eltorin will get closer to see what that writing actually says. Come.
All right.
Let us see. Let us investigate and find what this chamber might have been for.
So as you move forward, you notice that there is lettering carved on that archway, spelling out a name you have seen before. That name is Istingul of the Erslor Dread.
Does the arch, the bottom of the arch just sink down into the sand, or is it on a actual stone platform?
Great question. The two columns that hold this up are on sort of stone plinths that support the column. Whatever those stones is resting on is covered in the sand that seems to be covering everything.
Just go around and check.
Can you read what that says?
Yes. What language is it written in?
The letters are common.
Oh, so everybody can read it. Yes, can you? Eltorn will we check or see what's on the other side. Perhaps she's going to walk around the other side and just see if it's identical or if there's something else on the back side of it.
Make a either investigation or perception. It's up to you.
One of those is better than the other.
Probably.
10.
All right. So as you cross around, you don't see anything in particular other than sort of a web of cracks running along the back of this arch. Perhaps not surprising for something as old as this seems to be. But as you sort of cross that, you don't walk through, but as you walk around, from out of the darkness, you all hear this low, rumbling voice saying, "Let's have a look at these creatures so brave and so foolish as to enter my lair." And lightning begins to spark off of what, Ulfgar, you thought was one of those large boulders out in the darkness. Lightning begins to arc off of this form, which begins to rise in the darkness. Ulfgar, you get a clear view of this, but for everybody else, you are just seeing moments of revelation as that arcing blue light moves through the darkness. You see glimpses of an impossibly large form. Cobalt blue, you see a clawed foot, the foot itself the size of a horse, a leg like a tree going upward, and then raising up high in the air, a head as big as, this is a modern reference you wouldn't know, but as big as a school bus, right? or as big as a massive wagon. With a horn coming off it large enough to impale an elephant far to the sides. Massive wings rise up off the ground, sand clouds dusting as it comes off, wingspan of 100 feet or more, moving out into the darkness, teeth in this mouth, the length of a full-grown human. And it slowly takes a few steps forward. What do you guys do?
Oh man, we are not getting paid enough for this.
I think we should take this very carefully.
Yeah, I agree.
Eltorn will take a knee and bow his head.
Okay.
Says, "Greetings, great." God, what was the name again? I don't have it written down.
Istingul.
I will put it in. We'll put it in our little private chat. Whoops.
All right.
That is, I don't know what I just put in the private chat, but it is about 70,000 characters long. I don't know what that is. Let me try to put. Can I delete it?
Probably a
Yes.
manuscript or
Okay.
something.
Yeah, I don't know. I just uploaded an entire PDF into our little chat. That's not a great plan. Yeah, no, I am putting into our little chat the name Istingul of the Erslor Dread.
Cal would
Greetings.
like to also bend the knee, following the lead here.
Great Istingul of the Erslor Dread. We do not mean to trouble you, but there are rumors of troubles down here that are affecting the world above. And in an effort to try to satisfy those that sent us and to seek what has been lost there, we come to you and ask your patience as we try to discover what has been happening here that has changed the way as things have been for ages past.
I would like everyone to make an insight check, and as Eltorin, as you are as you clearly have some blue dragon heritage in your sorceress background, I'd like you to make this one with advantage.
All right.
Ulfgar's
Mr.
got
has a
7.
19.
Okay.
16 for Eltorin.
Cal rolled an 8.
Okay. And with Ulfgar's seven, Ulfgar and
shaking in me boots.
yeah, just a little too frightened to see. But Miskria and Eltorin, you get right when you began speaking, there was this tremor that seemed to go through his body. And after the speech, he says, "That is the most noble speech. But if you call me by that name again, I shall not be pleased."
What name shall we call you?
Just growls at that. You say you wish to aid me.
If we can aid you and satisfy the if we can aid you, and in doing so help not only those of who sent us, but those who serve you, I think it would work out well for everyone.
You are kind to speak of those who serve me.
We have
I
seen
am told you saved many of them.
we saved as many as we could.
Perhaps you can do for me what they cannot. Much is wrong that needs putting right, and I do yearn to return to my glory and to my wonder. But if I am to trust you with the secret of my name, I must know you are worthy of it. A dangerous road lies before you, and you are tiny and small. You will not survive if you are not powerful, and you will not survive if you are not clever. You must prove your worth to me. First, you must prove to me your power. And at that, he takes a step back, and one of the things that you took to be a smaller boulder begins to rise, and you hear this footfall, this boom, boom, footfall sound, as a roughly humanoid form, perhaps about 10 or 12 feet tall, though, rises up, and the sound it makes is odd. Along with the sound of feet hitting the sand, there's a sound of the sort of riffling of pages, as if someone is flipping through a book. And that very particular thump sound that a stack of books makes when it's dropped onto a desk or a table. And coming out of the gloom, you see a body composed entirely of stacked books. Arms, legs are piles of books, a few massive tomes composing the head, and I would like you all to roll initiative as you enter into combat against the book golem.
Cal rolled
That's
a
a
9.
20 for Miskria.
Ooh.
21 for Eltorin.
I have had dice this
Zippy.
today.
4 for Ulfgar.
4 for Ulfgar. All right. Well, we will certainly start with the 21 for Eltorin. This thing is now beginning to move towards you, and it is a good perhaps 40 feet away at this point, but getting closer. What do you want to do?
Is there anything that I could do that would not take my full action to sort of try to get an idea of what this thing is and whether perhaps it has any sort of vulnerabilities?
That would definitely be your action to try to discern that.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and do that. Let me see if I can't get a read on this thing, because if it's a book monster, then maybe it'll burn.
Yeah, make a investigation check.
We're supposed to save the books.
Just
not
gonna
burn the
scout this.
books.
Don't burn it! That's my livelihood!
Yeah, as you begin to mutter, I wonder if it burns, everybody yelling, no, is so distracting. That's why you got that 7. Yeah, I'm afraid you don't learn much.
All right. Well, then Eltorn will fade back a little bit behind the fighters and get ready to launch something next time around.
Although the chat seems to be going the other way. The chat seems to be all for burning books, which is making me disturbed.
Oh no!
That's why they listen to
Marketed
books.
to the wrong crowd.
Oh, that's true. That's harder to burn an audiobook. That's true. So you slip back, and Miscria, you are up now.
Okay, well, I'm still not sure what this thing is, so I kind of want to be like, may I call you Is there something specific that you want? Is there something specific that we can help you with? Can you we were recruited to help find the books. We see the books. How can we help you? Like, what information can we get for you? I don't know, is that possible to, like, persuasion?
Sure. Are you talking to the dragon or to the book golem?
Does the book golem talk with words? Can I see if he will respond?
It's got
Can I
lots of
see if he will respond?
Make a persuasion check.
If he responds with words, I'd be happy to. 18.
18. It stops for a minute and its head focuses on you, and it's going to use one of its legendary actions to
What's this?
to speak to you.
Okay.
It uses its words can hurt, legendary action as one of its books open up and words do emerge flying off those pages, but they form into insults and insightful but hurtful commentary that is being flung at you. And I'd like you to make a charisma saving throw as some deeply personal insults begin to be physically hurled at you.
And
The chat is telling the book golem to use
that
its
is a
words,
6.
but I'm pointing out that the book golem is using its words, just not in a helpful way. Yeah, a 6 doesn't do it. So you take 2 points of psychic damage from the very hurtful language that the book golem is using, and you are so stung that you must subtract a D4 from any D20 roll you make until the end of your next turn.
Okay.
Anything else you want to do on your turn?
No, my tail is between my legs.
Sufficiently cowed.
Rachel is saying that the book golem is throwing at you all of our bad Audible reviews, which Rachel, that does hurt. That is too close to home,
Ouch.
Rachel. Too close to home.
I
Calden, you
swore
are up
never to read them
next.
again. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Looks like persuading it, talking to it is out of the question. So for now, it's coming straight at us. I'd
Yep.
like to move on a lateral line.
Okay.
In other words, out of its.
Yeah, sort of
main
moving
draw.
away from the party. Gotcha.
And so I think what I'll go ahead and do is take a shot at it with the bow.
Okay, go for it.
Whoops, that's the wrong. Ignore that. Although that's a great roll. I rolled 6 damage. I got ahead of myself.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, you got a hit.
Ooh, and we got a nat 20.
Oh, unfortunately, nothing in this setup gives you your sneak attack. But go ahead and I roll an extra die for that damage.
Wow, I did use them all. I got 1 crit and a 2, so a total of 8.
Okay, so 8 damage as an arrow sticks, sort of rips through some of the smaller paper books, doing some damage. But this golem still has an awful lot of body still standing. Anything else you want to do? You can use your movement and your action, but if you as a bonus action you want to use, you certainly can.
I think I would like to try out my newest bonus action that Calvin
Yeah.
learned most recently, which is allows me to aid an ally in attacking a creature. So
Okay.
I'd like to call out to Ulfgar and say, if it can bleed, it can die, or some other vapid one-liner of encouragement.
All right, fantastic. And Ulfgar, you are inspired and encouraged. It is turning to you, though, since you hit it, and using on you a legendary action that has been suggested by the chat. It is using it's a real page turner
This chat
legendary
vexes me.
action. I would like you, please. As one of those books detaches and starts to hurtle towards you, I'd like you to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
Okay. That's good-ish for me, although not right now. He got a 7.
So it lands and opens, and before you, you read a couple words, and it is one of those beautiful sentences that as soon as you start to read it, you know that you are hooked by this story and drawn in. And you actually lie down prone on the ground, curling up like a little kid with your hands on your chin.
Kicking him.
Absolutely lost in this book. You are stunned and prone until the end of your next turn. Ulfgar, with your initiative of 4, you are still going ahead of the book golem. What would you like to do?
Wow. How far away is it? I'm gonna run up to it.
It is about 40 feet.
Oh. Okay. I am gonna cast Spiritual Weapon right in front of it,
Nice. Okay.
and so that will attempt to hit it, and that will be a crit fail.
Oh.
Totally miss.
Yeah, just distracted. Like, what are you doing, Calton? Get up. Too distracted to hit.
I don't understand why you guys are
You're
just
gonna
lying
believe
out.
what it says
This
in
is
here.
busy. We're busy here. And then I'm gonna cast Sacred Flame.
Right on. That is a dexterity saving throw?
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully that's
That is
in
a
our
2. Not super dexterous is this giant golem made out of books.
All right.
that's expected.
Do your damage.
Take 7
right.
radiant.
Wow. Not bad.
As holy fire dances around this book, not the burny kind of fire, but the radiant kind of fire. It takes some damage. You see some of those pages beginning to crisp and turn. Anything else?
I'm gonna run up as close as I can, 25 feet towards it.
All right,
So
and
I'm in the front.
that brings us to the book golem's turn, and it closes the rest of the distance, and makes 2 attacks against you. Actually, before it gets to you, one single page flies out of the book and comes sailing at you, attempting to give you a paper cut. That is a 12 against your armor class.
That's a no.
All right, so
Ineffective.
yeah, so it gets brushed aside, but it is now, as it closes the distance and get to melee, one of those giant arms raises up and swings down, and it slams at you for a 17 to hit.
That's also a no.
Really? Wow.
It's close.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So just
Wearing.
hoisting up your shields and just taking that blow, withstanding its attack. Nicely done. And that brings us then to Eltorin. Back to you.
All right, let's see. I can't do that. I guess I could do that. All right. So how far away is it from Eltorin right now?
It is now 30 feet from you.
30 feet. All right. Eltorin, seeing that this thing is definitely got some oomph to it, is not gonna mess around. He is going to hold his crystal up and close his eyes for a moment, and hold his other hand up as sort of a ripple, like sort of like a heat shimmer goes over his body. He's going to cast Dragon's Breath on himself.
Ooh.
And there's sort of a gurgle and a rumble that, if anyone were close enough to hear it, I might have heard emanating from him. And as he opens his eyes, there's a fiery light behind them. And Eltorin will then, that's a bonus action. So Eltorin will run forward then and try to position himself so that he can target the book golem, but not Ulfgar.
Sure, you got to run a little diagonally to the side to do it, but
Yep.
no problem.
And he will turn and open his mouth and just spew a huge cone of fire at the book golem.
Wow.
The book
Calvin
golem.
looks up. Wow. Looks back down.
Bookall must make a dexterity saving throw, DC 13.
Right. That is again a 2.
All right, it's going to be 3d6 fire damage.
Yikes.
12 fire damage.
So the the fire spreads over its form, and a lot of that dry paper just goes up in a giant pillar of flame. More damaging than perhaps that number you told me. Fire and books, not a good combination for the book. At the end of its turn, at the end of your turn, having done that, it turns to you and opens one of its massive books, making its mouth opens and hurls, again using its words can hurt power, hurls actual letters of insult at you. Please make a charisma saving throw, as some of these deeply personal comments, mostly about how you failed to live up to your personal hygiene standards, come right at you.
That's a 21. El Toro knows. El Toro knows. No. El Toro knows. No. I'm clean. You can't.
All right.
You can't.
So instead of taking 4 psychic damage, you take 2, and you are not going to suffer a penalty to your D20 rolls.
All right.
And that brings us to Miscria, still stinging from the insults you'd been hurled. So remember to subtract a D4 from any D20 roll you make.
Knock a D4 from an 80/20. Okay. Oh, okay. So how far away is it from me right now?
About 25 feet from you.
25 feet. So I can...
With Ulfgar in between you and it.
Okay. So I can do a running and maybe it's within running distance, basically.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Run and hit it with my scimitar in an angry rage. And obviously, because it is an angry rage, I take that -4. So that's 18 minus 1d4.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Not bad.
Hold on. And that's a -1.
Oh, okay, so 17. 17 is certainly good enough to hit. You run up and yell and hurl that scimitar forward. Go ahead and roll your damage.
That is a 7.
Nice.
Wow.
I was mad.
By rage.
Yeah. Anything else you want to do while you're up there?
I might be mad enough to maybe do... Hold on, I can't read this. Divine Favor, which is deal an extra 1d4.
Oh, sure, absolutely, yeah. As you invoke your own wrathful call, add in that extra. Yeah, roll a d4. Let's add it into the damage.
4.
Nice.
Nice. All right.
Big mad.
So you guys have just opened up on this book golem. It is on fire and looking bad. It is going to. As its legendary action here is going to make a slam attack against you, Miscria, because you just hit it. It seems fair. That's a 17 against your armor class.
I am an 18, and does that mean I can use Hellish Rebuke?
No, it has to hit you.
Oh, okay. I understand. But
All right. And
it's in my back pocket.
Out here.
Calvin, that brings us to you. Unfortunately, you're just reading the book. At the end of your turn, it kind of occurs to you, wait a minute. Isn't there a fight going on that I'm supposed to be paying attention to?
Bookmarking that. Would like to slide that book into the bag if I can.
Sure.
And I guess that's my turn, right?
That is your turn.
Yep.
Yeah. And that brings us to Ulfgar.
Keeping that one for later.
I'm going to move up my spiritual weapon,
Okay.
and that will attack.
All right.
A 13.
A 13 would have hit. It's going to use its rotating stock reaction. And as that spiritual weapon is swirling around, some of the books making up its body rearrange themselves, putting a book with a particularly thick cover in the way, raising its armor class enough to keep that spiritual weapon from doing damage.
Okay, well, you know what? If it's going to do that, I'm gonna cast Moonbeam right down on top of it then.
Okay. Which I think doesn't do anything until the start of its next turn, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
But that is now, unless you want to move. The start of its next turn is coming up.
Nope, I'm gonna stay right here.
Okay, so what kind of saving throw does it need to make on Moonbeam?
Con save.
Okay. Better constitution than dexterity. That's a 22.
That definitely passes. But you're
You should still take like half damage or something, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no! Oh,
Unfortunately, I rolled 3.
only 1 damage. All right. It's a tiny. It's more like a moon trickle than a
book light.
moonbeam, really. It's a book light.
one of those
Yes.
night-
Yes. One of those that you wear on your head to keep from waking your partner up when you read. Absolutely. So not a bunch of damage. It is going to do its paper cut attack at Eltorin because it does not like fire. So Eltorin, that is a 15 against your armor class.
Oh, that just hits.
All right, so you take 1 point of damage as a little paper slides by you. Paper cuts don't do a lot, but it is going to try a second slam against Miscria and getting a natural 1. So
Nice.
it is distracted by being on fire, which is, I think, completely fair. I'd be distracted if I were on fire. And speaking of fire, that's its turn. So Eltorin, you are back.
All right. Eltorin, again, trying to be careful to position so that he gets the golem and not his friends.
I'm going to say at this point that is harder to do because they're on two sides of this golem now.
What
so
if I advance closer?
If you want to run up into melee and aim up, catching only half the golem, you can do it, but the damage will be reduced. It's your call.
I don't like reducing damage.
Damage reduction.
That doesn't sound like a good time to me.
I'll tell you what, I'll give it advantage on the saving throw.
Okay. That also sounds bad. So Eltorin will, let's see, do I get to pick who gets caught?
Yes.
All right. I feel like Miscria is probably more dexterous than Ulfgar.
Possibly.
So we'll see how this goes. Eltorin
All right.
will unleash another blast of fiery dragon breath, and they'll have to make a dexterity saving throw.
Well, the golem only got a 6. What about Miscria?
Dexterity saving throw.
And the D4.
That's an 18.
subtraction is done, right? That was a one-time thing.
That was a one-time thing. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Bad damage anyway. So Miscria will take half that, and the golem will take the full. This is a terrible roll on 3d6.
Yeah. So you take, instead of the 7 that was rolled, Miscria, you take 3, but the golem is taking 14. The golem is vulnerable to this fire. So burned up.
Woof.
The whole golem now is aflame. You guys think you have it pretty close to done. But at the end of that turn, you are now close enough. Oh no, you did that from afar. It's going to go at you. It's going to use that page turner effect on you. It'd like to take you out of the fight, Eltorin. So one of these books comes spinning out. Please make a wisdom saving throw.
This is not Eltorin's strong suit here. But Eltorin managed to resist the
Wow.
pull. He loves his books. Eltorin
Yeah.
loves his books. But
Yeah, and it is since everything is on fire, it is a very hot romance. But perhaps that doesn't draw your attention. And it is now Miscria's turn.
All right. Well, it's right there by me. I gotta swipe at it again with my scimitar.
All right.
That is an 18.
That hits.
Okay, and then that is 8 damage.
Whoa.
And I'm assuming it's getting close,
hitters.
so
It is,
might
yes.
as well do another divine favor.
Okay, roll that d4.
2.
2. All right. So calling upon the holy power that your oath gives you. You drive that scimitar in deep. You actually hook a rather large book, like an old school unabridged dictionary, and flick it out, and a substantial portion of its body sort of tumbles away. It's half sitting there, bobbing and weaving. And Calden, can you finish us off?
All right. Yes, I can. I'd like to move into position behind it, as I was hoping to do, and take a crack at it with the daggers plus the fork and knife set that I've just recently acquired.
Yeah,
Fork
right
it.
on.
Fork it.
Give yourself advantage from coming up behind.
Well, I did get a 20. I don't know if I necessarily need to.
You might get a crit. You never know.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Let's roll one more here, and that'll be. It was a crit.
Crits.
Which means you get to
low.
double not only your dagger dice but also your
Sneak attack.
Sneak attack damage. The chat is saying stick a fork in the golem, it's done. So I think the chat gets inspiration.
I was gonna say something rude, something like "fork you."
Oh, there we go.
Eye contact with Miss Gria. Let's stick
Yeah.
a fork in this one. And the damage, let's see, will be. Let's see, 7. Does that has it added in the?
No.
No. So I got to double that.
No. That did add in the
That
crit.
added it in. You're correct.
Yeah,
Okay,
but that
and
didn't
then
add in the sneak
also
attack.
a
You need to
sneak
do the
attack.
sneak attack.
Yep. So that is going to be 7 and 7, 14.
All right. It had 1 hit point left. So you sort of leap in the air and drive this fork right
Dwarven dinner fork.
into its spine, as it were. And you hear this cracking sound as you break the spine, and the magical energy holding this body together gives out, and the pile of books falls, unfortunately much burned, but falls to the ground. At which point, you hear that dragon behind you say, good, you are strong, but you will need more than strength. Are you clever? And as he says that, the sand at your feet begins to slowly spin, forming a vortex around you, and it goes faster and faster and faster, sort of trapping you in sort of a 30-foot diameter whirlwind of sand. You feel the grains zipping across your skin. You actually hear a crack as the archway gets caught up on the very edge of that vortex, and with the cracks in the stone just lets go, and huge chunks of rock fly out at you. I'd like everybody please to make a dexterity saving throw.
Come on. Ooh, yes.
That's an 8 for Miss Gria.
Okay.
22, net 20.
Cal got
16
a 13.
for Ulfgar.
Okay.
16 for Ulfgar.
All right, so Miskria, a block of stone smacks into you. You take 6 points of bludgeoning damage from that block of stone.
Ouch.
And the stone lands all around you. The letters of his name broken and spread across you. And now the dragon roars at you. What is my name? What do you do? Oh, and Rachel, for the chat, call up, please, that special screen that you have been working on so hard. You all don't get to see
You don't
it.
get to see it. Okay.
You
I'll
don't get
make
to
sure
see
I'm
it.
staying away from that. Okay.
Okay, well, in her smartass, she just growls at him the way he growled at us.
So
Oh, was that for all of us?
Yeah, what are you guys
I
doing?
thought that was a
well, so
mystery
he
of one
didn't
line.
really.
Yeah. So Miskria, on saying that, the dragon goes back. That is not my name. And a bolt of lightning comes out. You need to make another dexterity saving throw.
No funny deed goes unpunished.
That's a 13.
That is a success. So you take only 1 point of lightning damage as a little static electricity arc came out from that, from the spinning vortex of sand, which is now beginning to crackle with more static electricity. As he has challenged you to say his name, what are you guys doing?
All right, well, Eltorn, I guess we'll go give it a try. You are known as Istingul of the Erslor Dread.
No. And more lightning arcs out.
right.
Everyone make a dexterity saving throw,
Everyone.
please.
Yeah, I knew we wouldn't like that one, but I had to give it a try, right?
19.
19
15.
from Miscria.
Cal got only a 12.
The 12 is what you needed, so it sounds like everybody passed. So instead of taking 2, you take 1 points of lightning damage as you were unable to determine his name.
Ouch.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see.
Trying to go back through the lore that I know as a player. what
I'm
are
just-
names?
Is the
again?
great
The great one.
the great one?
I was
How
going
about
to
the
say
great one?
The great one.
No. And more lightning comes out. Dexterity saving throw again, please.
12 was what we needed. Whew.
Success.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, Miscria failed.
I
a
got a
4.
21.
Yeah, all right.
12.
So everybody but Miscria take 1 point of lightning damage. Miscria takes 3.
Okay.
The Great Bookworm.
You are not seeming clever. And more lightning arcs out. More dexterity saving throws, please.
Oh no! How many of these can I pass?
Oh,
Oh,
shoot.
fail.
Oh, Ulfgar and
That's
Miscria.
2.
Ulfgar and Miscria, you both fail. You take 3 points of lightning damage. Everybody else takes 1.
Cal got a 13.
Am I able to use my divine sense at this moment?
I'll tell you what you can do is you can make an investigation check.
You said,
investigation
you
check.
said that are we still in this swirl or all the stones? You said the stones landed around us.
Yes, yes, they have.
So what are the letters on the stones as they're arranged now?
Yeah, the stones have broken and fallen around you in a cluster that the chat can see, and I will now put for you to see since you are now looking at it. The letters have broken off into chunks, which I have now put into our chat.
right.
The IST of Istingul is by itself, as is the ING and the U and the L. The of is unbroken. The V is unbroken. But then Erslor Dread has been broken up into ERS, LOR, D, and READ. And I've put that in the chat for you to look at, and those of you watching the stream can see it on screen as well. This is how the letters have been broken. They are not in any particular order. They're just scattered about you. But they could perhaps be reordered.
I'd like to take a crack. I'd like to solve the puzzle, please.
Okay.
I'm assuming I have to use.
Yeah, and wouldn't Wheel of Fortune be more interesting if people got lightning
Or being
shots when they got
zapped.
wrong answers? Yeah.
Let's see. I had it just a second. Maybe I should write it out real
Ooh,
quick.
ooh.
Oh, okay.
All right, you got it.
Of the. Let's see. Okay.
Oh, I have one.
Yeah, go for
Thing
it, Miss
left,
Grant.
but like I don't know if I want
Oh.
to chance that on myself. Like, but can I heal myself with the divine sense right now, or is that not an option?
Yeah, sure, you can do that. You can do that while you're doing that. Calton perhaps can call out his answer.
Well, now I realize I'm missing a D, but maybe this will help everyone else. Cal would like to call out linguist of the readers.
Okay, so as you say that, the IST, the ING, the U, and the L smooth in the sand and snap together, forming the word linguist. That word has been formed.
Correct.
And you said linguist. What did you say? You said linguist
I said readers of the readers.
of the readers. The word Readers snaps together. But he says, not complete. And everybody make a dexterity saving throw.
I'm going to feel the pain this time.
Yeah, called it.
10.
Yep.
3.
10 and a 3 is a fail.
Jeez, this is, must
a
be
5
must
is a
be
fail.
must be Eltorn's affinity to lightning here that is keeping him from getting too hurt.
Yeah, that is 2 points of damage to everyone unless you saved, in which case you get 1. But linguist and readers have snapped together, leaving out only the of, the LOR, and the D.
Yeah.
What
Lord
is
of-
my name? The chat is getting close.
Linguist Lord of the Readers.
And as you say, linguist, lord of the readers, the arch completely snaps and reforms, and the sand drops. And he says, "That is my name." And as the storm of sand dies, light begins to flare. Magical lanterns set around the edge of the cavern begin to flare up, bathing the cavern in very bright, soothing light. And the first thing you see in the gloom that you took to be boulders in the gloom are actually massive mounds of pillows and cushions with little helpful, charming little sayings embroidered in Dwarvish. The next thing that catches your eye is the mound of treasure on which a dragon would normally rest is composed entirely of books, hundreds upon hundreds of books. And then there is the dragon himself, still large, still terrifying. But in the warm, bright light, the lines on his face seem less drastic. You notice some of those cobalt blue scales have gone pale with age. And the things that stand out most to you are his eyes. They are milky, as if stricken with severe cataracts. And he says, "Yes, this is my true name. Linguist, Lord of Readers. I left Istingul of the Erslor Dread behind quite some time ago. It was the dwarves who showed me the way. Come sit, and I shall tell you. I used to be a vicious creature. I fought, I killed, I rampaged. And the great dwarven city here, I decided I would take as my own. There was a wizard here, very powerful, who placed upon me a curse that a love of reading should supplant my love of treasure. And I wished nothing to do with gold or blood. I just wanted to curl up and read a nice book. Now I know this is a curse, but I'm happier this way. I don't want the curse broken. I happily curled up on my pillows and read and read. That was my glory. That was my treasure. And when the dwarves passed away, I was deeply sad. But then you built a new building full of books above me. My followers would bring them to me. It brought me such joy. But then those metal things came, and they took my glasses. You see my eyes, right? And you notice his eyes are just completely cataract over. When my eyes began to fail, the dwarves built me a set of magical eyeglasses that let me see. I could see my books, and those mechanical things took them. I haven't told the kobolds. I mean, it's a little embarrassing, you know? I'm a big, powerful dragon. They like me so much, and I tell them I can't even read because I'm too old to see it properly. It's embarrassing. I haven't told them. But I just need my glasses back. Can you do that for me? can you recover my reading glasses? I'll happily return the books as I finish reading them. I mean, once I've read it, it lives forever in my mind. Is that something that you can do for me?
Yes, Lord of the Readers. I will find your glasses for you. As long as we can then return the books to the library above, so that all may share in their knowledge.
When I'm done with them.
I agree with that.
Of course.
That sounds pretty
Wonderful.
good.
I'm glad we agree. Now, I'm afraid that my tests may have injured you a little bit, but I needed to know that you were worthy. I don't want to just send someone to run into those little metal things and get chopped to pieces. That wouldn't do. So please, excuse me, hang on. And he takes in a big puff of air and reverts back to his former voice. Followers, those who follow your dread Lord Great One, descend ropes so these creatures may climb. You know, I have to maintain a certain air with the kobolds. You know how it goes. I mean, they're all about, you know, the power and the groveling, and I want to make them happy. But I think I have something around here from my old treasure hoard that may be of use. Oh, let me see. He starts digging through the books, and all the way down at the bottom, he pulls out a few things. He pulls out a pair of slippers that have a web of, looks like embroidered spider webs all over the slippers. He says, these will make walls and ceilings no different than floors for you, as he sets down slippers of spider climbing. He pulls out a ring. Now, some of you, I've heard, can jump spectacularly well. Some of you maybe less, but this ring will help you jump even better. He lays down in front of you a ring of jumping. He also lays down a rope which begins to slide and move on its own as he lays a rope of climbing down in front of you. And then he lays just a little beanie. Just a stretchy little beanie down in front of you. Has like a little daisy patterned on it. He says, I know this doesn't look like much, but if you put it on your head, a little bubble of air will form around you. And if you ever find yourself trapped underwater, well, it will help you. And he lays down a cap of water breathing. So this seems like a very good place to take a break. As the ropes descend and you can climb up and take a long rest among the kobolds to recover from this ordeal you've just gone through. You have some magical items that you can distribute amongst yourselves. And here is where we will call it a night with the dragon revealing his true nature, a reader. A lover of the treasure of the mind instead of the hoarded treasure of gold, but stuck and unable to read. And you have agreed to go solve that problem, which means, of course, you will have to descend down to where these robots have been coming from to find a way to deal with that, to find where those glasses might be hidden, and to face whatever challenges and dangers may lurk beneath the library. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're going to be back. We are going to be back in 2 weeks. Thank you again. Yeah. Thank you again to PANA, the Professional Audiobook Narrators Association. Please, everybody, learn more about them at pronarrators.org. In the meantime, keep these fantastic narrators in your ears. Shout out to Ray. Your book was The Legacy of Shadow, yes? The link to which you can find in the description below. Jeremy, what book would you like to send listeners to this week?
Road to Mastery by Valerios. It's a 30-hour-long lit RPG.
Whoa, nice.
Good
Lauren.
For your buck, I think, each time.
Yeah. Yeah. Lauren, what about you?
Okay, I linked Gates of Demons because that's book 1 of the Grail Keeper series, and I am currently wrapping up book 4, which is Gates of Wrath.
Nice. Fabulous.
That's cool.
And Spencer.
I linked put down a link for my YouTube channel. Don't fall asleep. We're getting some traction these days, and it's free, so that's the best part. And you can hear me tell you some spooky stories if you like on these long short summer nights.
Nice. And I've kicked in a link to a lovely, quirky little audiobook that I recorded a while ago. It's tough to identify the genre of this book because it is, well, I can identify it, but it's kind of in two genres at once. It is a romance/zombie apocalypse story. It's called Love in the Time of Zombies. It is equally a zombie survival thriller and a really touching romance. And I think that is the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup of audiobooks. So I hope you guys dive in and enjoy those two tastes together.
For season 1, Max?
I'm sorry?
I feel like I remember you mentioning that during season 1. Were you recording that last time?
No.
Maybe I just
I may have
stalked you
mentioned
and
it in
thought
season.
was
Maybe you did
interesting.
stalk me in season 1. Everybody should stalk all of these narrators in a professional way and buy their books,
I appreciate
and
that.
not in a way that gets you arrested.
On a list somewhere.
Thank you, everybody else, for joining us for this adventure. We will be back in 2 weeks for the final installment of Punch and Roll Beneath the Library.
Sizzler.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good night,
Good
you all.
night.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.